After the end of the Second Punic War, Carthage was forbidden to keep a navy, or war elephants, or to wage war without the express consent of Rome. Considering what Hannibal had done for 17 years in Italy, during which time 1 in 6 Roman men had died in the fighting, this was a fairly lenient treaty, and the indemnity of 10,000 talents of silver was 1/3 less than that inflicted on the Seleucid Empire a handful of years later. Hannibal himself had been allowed to run for election and had governed the city of Carthage for 5 years before his efforts to reform their government had angered the moneyed interests and they'd essentially run him out of town. Carthage couldn't help itself and just kept making more money than the Romans could dream of, paying off the war indemnity with ease. Interestingly, modern archaeology suggests the great war harbour of Carthage was built between the Second and Third Wars, which would have justified Roman alarm at the city's recovery. So Carthage had money, and if there's one thing a Roman senator both has a lot of and wants a lot more of, it's money. And Carthage was rearming on the sly. The last time the Romans sat back and watched Carthage rearm, they got Hannibal rampaging around Italy for 17 years, firing up leftover Greeks and unhappy hill tribes. Throw into the mix, Cato the Elder was screaming Carthago delenda est in the Senate every time they let him speak. On top of all this, you've got relative calm in the Greek East, and a political system whereby if a consul doesn't have an army to lead to war, they're really missing out on making some money. Remember what I just said about Roman senators and money. Carthage had it coming, and Rome intended to give it to them.